Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Age of Strife. How are you guys doing today?
Brilliant.
Sexily.
Pretty tired.
Hmm. So, how are we all doing with Ty's death? Have we been mourning all week, or has it been, sunshine and butterflies and rainbows?
Uh, it was
Um,
it was pretty sad after it happened, but I went home for Thanksgiving and kind of forgot.
Nice.
So
Thanksgiving's a good way
like,
to mourn people's deaths.
yeah,
Yes.
vacation getaway.
hmm
I took it out on my other players and destroyed the world.
You were telling me about that before we started the stream today. How are
They can
you?
deal with it.
You want to tell everyone how you're destroying your world?
Oh, well, simply put, I had some bad players a year ago who were in the same world setting, and I decided I'm going to have 6 cataclysmic events and have them roll for one of them. And they did, and it was a giant meteor. And then we broke up and everyone moved away. So my new players caught up with the same timeline and are now encountering those players. And the meteor's falling on one of the cities.
Well,
And because they are high level now, they are dealing with it.
whoa.
Yep.
Yeah, my internet connection just dropped out for a second there.
Oh,
Let's just hope that doesn't happen again. That was really uncomfortable and unpleasant all the way around. But you've got a meteor falling on your city, which is great. I'm all in favor of.
yeah.
Cool. So some of you guys may have noticed there's this big blank square where Ty Barodite used to be. I had considered filling it with some sort of artwork to, show dead player, or maybe just kind of erasing it, having it be part of the picture. But I think the big gaping hole where a player used to be is a good reminder of character death and player removal. So when players leave the game, we're just going to leave a big blank space where they were to make it feel uncomfortable and like something's missing. I think that's an appropriate way to emphasize the family connections and the Age of Strife theme we've got going here. But back to what we were doing beforehand. Jeff, what have you been up to?
Let's see. I got 2 songs back from the getting remixed, so excited about that. Got a couple of small changes to make to them, but yeah, it's been 2.5 years, but we were trying to do it all ourselves, and real life happened. But yeah, so 2.5 years, and we're finally getting our demo, so we can finally get it out and gig. So yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. Is that something that you're going to be posting online for all of us to absorb?
I posted the first version in Discord. So I did put it up there. Yeah, it's really. I can't wait for the next one, because next song that should come out hopefully next week is in 6/8 timing, and songs just write themselves in 6/8 timing.
6/8.
Yeah. Right, so 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. It's 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4.
There we
It's
go.
really good. I like it.
It makes for very ballady, epic, sort of looting, I guess you'd call it. But yeah, gives a lot of room to move in.
Okay. Well, unless there's anything else, let's hop into game. Do we have anything else?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So, let's start with news from around the world. I think, as we mentioned before, part of King Orwin's plan to stabilize the country has been sending 1/8 of all the men from each of the eastern families to the west to kind of resolve the problems that they have going over there. These raids occurring on their towns. Some of their towns actually been destroyed. They've been having all sorts of warfare for a long time, and in order to give them enough breathing room to regroup and resupply and not fall to the nasty, brutish creatures that have been sacking them, they've taken the eastern troops and sent them over there. Well, word arrives back that the eastern forces under Maldris Ironworm, the Duke, Orwin's younger brother, who owns the western half of the kingdom, have arrived in their destination and are preparing for their first battle, or preparing for their first, foray out to give everyone else some breathing room. And the whole kind of countryside is teeming with what's going to happen. Is it going to work out? Is it not going to work out? And these people have never fought orcs before. They've never done any of this stuff. They've been good soldiers, but it's been a long time since the Eastern people have been at war with something other than humans or elves. And this is a little bit different. So everyone's kind of teeming with questions about what's going to happen. And meanwhile, as you guys have been resting in Wadsworth, a small makeshift raft has floated down the river out of the the Blackthorn Forest, and kind of just rested up against the portcullis that sits in the river to keep the big carp out. And on this very shoddy makeshift raft are 5 humans stuck with a total of 10 arrows, not each, 2 here, 1 there, 3 there. And the body's just kind of like stacked nice and neatly on this crappy little raft and just floats up against the portcullis. And that is the news that you guys wake up to today. One of the servants are talking about this raft that was found bright and early in the morning by the first people to wake up. And the arrows have a distinctly elven make to them.
All right. Hey,
So why don't we hop into game now?
Well, that could have been us. Remember, we were thinking of visiting the elves, weren't we?
Well, if they went past the 3-mile section, then death is on their hands.
Well, now we know how incredibly violent they are, and we might not need to do the middlemaning for the centaurs and the elves if they're going to be killing our people and sending them sort of signals.
I will say 10 arrows, 5 dead. That's a very efficient destruction.
If we can get those if we can find out if there's any messages left on them. Obviously, the bodies themselves are messaged, but anything written, it'd be worth finding out, just in case they have something more than just stay out to tell us.
I don't know what more we can gather from that. I'm sure the news from the town will come through if a message has been left. But yes, I think the bodies themselves are a message. And such an orderly message as well, to stack them up so neatly.
Are our whole family at the table right now?
Yes, the whole family's there. The other family members are talking about William and Joseph are discussing the movements of the Blackguard out in the west. Kind of wistfully talking about the days that they were marching off to war and fighting monsters. The good old days when there was a clear right and wrong, and all you had to do was follow this path and you could be successful, instead of this murky waters where everything's kind of crumbling around you and no one really knows what to do anymore. Longingly talking about the glory days and remembering their fallen friends.
These days, the fallen friends are your family.
Kind of a bit of silence around the table at that point. There's an awkward spot where Ty would sit. There's a placemat laid out for him, but there's no food at it, and there's still that chair there, and it's been a few days, almost a week since he died, but it's still very empty.
So, Luther, how are our finances doing?
Well, we're fine. To put it simply, we have plenty of gold for now, for at least a few months, even if we sat around and did nothing. I believe it's time that we started putting it to use.
I was about to ask, like, what sort of investments would we make? I know Ty really wanted to start up blacksmithing.
That's an option, though we no longer have anyone who would use the forge. One thing I've thought about is starting a house guard, if we could find someone capable of leading it. It's the first step to establishing our power, growing as a house. Everyone needs military force, whether it's for protecting ourselves or protecting villages.
Well, the other houses have guards. Just offer them higher price.
We could.
I don't think we have the funds or the cash flow yet to offer a higher price.
Oh, well.
I mean, but there doesn't seem to be that much of an alternative unless we get some of the thugs from the underworld
Maybe.
to
Oh
play
no,
guard.
we can't hire thugs to run our security here. Pipes in your father.
I agree, we need to appear completely legitimate.
Here, we are completely legitimate.
Yes, of course. I believe the first thing we would need to do in establishing a guard would to be we need to find one person who can hold everything together. Can lead. We can delegate to him. Because we can't sit around running the guard ourselves all day. And it doesn't have to be big immediately. I think we start small, maybe have one or two. Expand as we make more money.
All right, if you guys look at the economics table that we have and sort it by type, you can see that there's a whole section called warriors, and you can hire people for a monthly wage. There might not be all of these available in town. You might have to kind of walk around or do some exploring to find these people, but the standard wages are listed. So, a light footman runs about 7.2 gold per month. A light militia is like 2.4 gold per month. Archer is 16.8. I'm sorry, 16.8 gold per month. And so forth and so on. Yeah.
So what section was that one in?
In the economics under net income down at the bottom.
Okay, yeah, cool.
And so would we be able to find one with leadership ability?
I'm not sure what you mean by leadership ability.
I don't think people.
Maybe
are born
someone
with
who's
leadership
like
ability.
yeah. Well, maybe someone who knows how to train other soldiers.
Well, I mean, your dad's here. He's a former officer. He knows how to train other soldiers. He might be blind,
Yeah.
but he's got some chops with it. And you guys do have downtime occasionally where you're resting and healing. So I think between you guys and your father and your socialites and the few other useful people in your household, you might be able to train someone up yourself. But if you want a dedicated trainer, we could probably do that. We could find someone who might fit that role, but it would be a little more work.
Probably more expensive.
Well, I mean, just going on that, Father, perhaps do you know anyone who could inform the core, but someone who could, who you would trust? Is anyone you can think of in your time? Sorry.
To run a watch for the house? Set up our own household guard?
Yes, to get training. It wouldn't just be a household guard in the long term. It would be a military. So we
Raising our
training.
own. Could do. I can ask around, see who else who might be around. A lot of people have been called off to war, not as many people about.
Actually, that's a very good point. That will drive up the cost, or certainly make it less likely to find someone.
Is that why I wasn't able to find anyone? They've all gone to war.
Well, a lot of people have been called up. Not as many hands left working the farms. Mostly those that know what they're doing have been shipped off. Still, there's a new batch of men turning of age every day. No shortage of blood to spill.
Well, what if we found someone with the potential to lead? Obviously, that's a risk. What sort of a man would we be looking for?
Someone with independence, someone with the ability to not just follow orders, but to improvise. Someone trustworthy, most importantly. Loyalty is really the most important thing when it comes to finding reliable troops. Doesn't matter if someone can swing a sword if they're going to walk away from you the moment things get rough. Loyalty is always the biggest factor, and always the hardest thing to gain. Some people try and buy it, but point only goes so far. If you're going to try and find an officer to lead whatever band of men we're going to put together, you should find someone that you can trust.
I have an idea. So, if we go out to, say, the coast over by the lighthouse, visit villages on the way, and try to recruit some of the younger sons of the families, we recruit 3 to 5. And out of them, we find out who is the best, of who's got the leadership qualities, and then we dismiss them if they turn out to be terrible. Say, we test them, put them in charge of a sum of money and see what they do with it.
Not a bad idea. That's a good way to see if what their sort of potential is. Like it. Maybe you should have been born first. Luther's still here?
Yeah.
Yes, our fearless leader seems to be going through a leadership crisis at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, you can't
I
blame
don't know.
yourself for that.
Everyone in the family's probably noticed by now that Luther's he's just been getting more silent and reserved by the day.
Father, I've never felt like a leader, but I feel like the one who helps the leader. I don't know the word.
You mean
Like
an
an
assistant? Second in command?
Lucky
like
brown nose.
Hey! That's not the sort of assistance we need right here. Yes men are the worst kind.
Well, it just comes to, which reminds me,
Yes.
Joseph, he's here, isn't he?
Yes, your uncle is here.
We need to continue teaching me how to read, because I look like an idiot when I'm in town, And I know that, like, I can,
Now you want to read.
like,
You
I
know,
can
we've
do
been
it.
going through lessons your whole life. And now you want to read.
Well, when I was young, I was kind of stupid, right? Just looking after myself and just wanting to do things that are fun. But now that I've come to realize it, like,
Now you should have listened to your elders. Should have listened to
Yeah.
us when we told you what we knew it was good for you. Well, now it's a
I
little
know.
bit late. You're too old to learn. I've seen it a
No.
million times. Once a person hits a certain age, that's it. Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
I think that age is 30. Just putting out there.
Well, let's see how many non-weapon proficiency slots you have open. Reading
any
and
right now.
writing is going to take 2 slots for you, which means you can get it when you hit level 6. But I think it would make more sense if you can find a way to learn it in-game. But it should be a little bit more than just things happening in the downtime. I don't know how we could in-game pursue a reading and writing proficiency. That seems like a really boring proficiency to roleplay learning.
Well,
So I'm open
it could,
to
it could just
ideas.
take until level 6.
It might just take until level 6. But I'm open to ideas. If you have some sort of, method that you think could appropriately roleplay learning how to read and write.
I'll think it through.
Okay. So the servants are cleaning up dinner, shuffling everything back. When what's his name? I think it's Joseph, your uncle. Yes, Joseph kind of leans in on the table and goes, "So, we've got enough money to keep the house afloat for a while, is what you guys said earlier. So does that mean you won't be needing any of my little treasures I dug up for you guys?"
No, we're still going to look into them. Just,
I put a lot of work into that.
You can never have
I
never have enough money.
There we
would
go.
like to go for a few of them at the least. Careful with us.
And I'm tired of getting drunk every night. Maybe a rest is in order by going out and clearing my head.
Maybe you'll find a wife yet.
Oh fuck no! I mean, how boring is that? The one person the whole time. I mean, mother, lovely lady, but no, that's not for no.
Clara's sitting like right across the table from you, and down one person is giving you a last stare.
No, I believe my goal in life is to spread my seed as much as possible and allow many to share with my passions. You could say
Isabella,
I'm-
Mary, and Clara all kind of excuse themselves from the table. Sarah
you
sits
could
up
say-
there still kind of running her fingers.
You could say I'm doing Reluna's work. I think it's a beautiful thing. How would the knowledge of the gods get out if you only focused on one person at a time?
There's a slow round of laughter from a few of the people at the table.
2 at a time, 3 at a time is the most effective way to pass on the blessing of Reluna.
Maximilian speaks up, saying, Now, Marcus is here. Don't fill his head with such lies. Anyway, besides, we don't want a scandal on the family. No, we don't need bastard offspring being born and coming begging for money now that we have a little bit. Best to keep things in your pants, cousin.
Spoken with the efficiency of an engineer. What a dead soul. Give a little. Perhaps you should come out on the night with me sometime.
Perhaps, but I have other matters to attend to.
Yes, what have you been doing?
Oh, there's
What have
a
you been
question of
thinking?
finding a new way to raise and lower the portcullis in town that's a little bit less slow. I don't know if anything will come of it, but might be a little more useful.
Well, I guess a good thing.
Yeah.
Excellent.
People begin to excuse themselves from the breakfast table, and everyone goes about their things for the day, leaving the 3 of you there. Mary comes back to take William away and goes and sits in the backyard in the sun. So there's the 3 of you, and for once there's nothing pressing immediately.
So, would you like me to find these possible captains of our guards? I feel like there's not in a city, because I've been looking for a while now.
Yes, that may be correct. It would be a good idea to get that started.
It would be. It may take time to find candidates and even longer to find a good one. Um, the only way we can see their loyalty is to see them in action. That's my only concern. I wouldn't mind going checking out the sheriff. I think it's time to have a discussion with him, especially after we have given our own blood to solve his issues. And well,
What would this
I've been
discussion be about?
spending the week spreading rumors, keeping that going, ramping up the tension, especially with the Countess now. It's time to bring it to an ultimatum. Either we get the respect or we go to the Countess. We must be people of our word. And
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess so. What sort of rumors were you spreading again? Just that he's corrupt, he's taking bribes and protection from gangs, or was it more?
that he's corrupt and dodgy. Effectively.
And you made sure that they're not coming from you, right? These rumors.
Well, I did my best. I can't speak of what happened after a few drinks, but certainly beforehand I was very careful.
All right. So let's see how he is then. Let's go visit.
Actually, I think I prefer to do that alone, unless you have a reason to come.
No, I've got no reason. You can go on.
And brother, what will you be doing besides killing your patients?
Well,
I am.
there was one more thing from before that we haven't followed up on yet, and that's that man Ash. I don't remember what it was that he was, what exactly happened, but I do know that he seems to be part of the underworld in this city, and I'd like to talk to him and just see how things are going, I guess. See what he's...
Are you thinking to turn him to what's your goal here?
We'll see. For now, it's just to talk.
Well, let me tell you, in this shitty city where we don't have money, gold coming in from or going out anywhere, if people hoard their gold, then, well, the city's fucked. The thieves are actually the driving force behind the economy, rebalancing the finances, keeping the gold flowing. I think it's useful to go to them.
It may be. It wouldn't be a disaster if the noble house has lost some things. Lost
Interesting.
some of their gold somehow.
As long as it can't be traced back to us, then
Yes. Well, I'll look into it.
Did you have a look into the crypts while we were there?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the idea of robbing a crypt. Even if it is possible, it's playing with things that maybe shouldn't be played with.
I mean, if the crypts were so easy to rob from, then there'd be no valuables in there. There must be something which stops the crypts from being...
Well, you guys would know that there's always there's like an honor guard at the crypts. Make sure that everything, no one bothers anything. And there's also often an order that takes care of it. It's a subsection of the church that kind of sees over the crypts and tends to the bodies there. And people die for all the time. So there's usually someone in and around there tending to something, preparing an area for a new body, looking in, removing flowers that people have left. So there's always, there are often people in that area, and there's a single honor guard, a single person, but probably like 3 or 4 different people who rotate through to do the job. The honor guard isn't really armed in anything. They just have like a nice uniform and they stand outside watching. They're not a physical threat, but they just kind of observe the area.
So accountability.
Yeah.
Do we know how proficient or how dedicated the order is to, like, the older crypts, etc.? Like, would they service them as well and notice if things were missing, or do they only go for the more recent ones where the flowers are still being put out? Do we know?
You haven't known very many people that have died. Just Ty and your mother. So this is a good time to talk about her. She died in childbirth with Stefan, if I recall correctly. So Stefan, you've never, I guess you've never known her or met her.
No.
What's the age between you guys?
6 years between Stefan and
the two of you, and it's 15 between Stefan and Luther. So Luther, you were old enough to remember when she died, and Ginger, I guess you would have had some very vague memories at best of her. So
it would have been.
So I think this is a good moment to figure out how do you guys mourn your lost mother? Do you visit her crypt often? Is it something that, she's buried and we've just moved on with life and it's terrible, but, we don't go and visit her underground? What is your relationship with the dead?
I think at least I would probably go visit maybe once a month or something like that.
That's quite often. Okay.
I feel like I would have done that maybe for a year and then gotten lazy and stuck with the living people.
Okay. Yeah, because you were very young. You wouldn't have had very many memories of her.
I want to, but never really have. Probably when I was younger was forced there, but yeah, now it's something which I'd probably think about and, well, exceptionally pissed. But apart from that, not really.
So, Luther, you would know that when people come in, people recognize you for certain. So they know that if you come in with flowers, that at some point they will need to go and remove those flowers. So if you have brought things like flowers before, when you go back the next month, the dried dead ones are gone. There's a new spot to lay them, or a fresh spot to lay them. Now, there's no telling if that is for everyone, or, you're a noble and heir to a significant family, so maybe they just recognize you and care for that. That's hard to see how often other families go and visit, although you would probably have run into a few people every now and then from other families.
Okay.
Hope that is enough information for you guys.
Well, I'm just thinking about that. If obviously the order is there, perhaps we could just pay our respects to our brother and just take a lay of the land. I agree that robbing from the crypt seems rather abhorrent, but if we ever needed to, it might be our only option. My issue is only old things could be taken, because otherwise they might be recognized.
And it is worth noting that the crime for such things, or at least a commoner, would be death. For a noble, that, it's unthinkable for a noble to be stealing from the crypts. There's no crime, there's no penalty for that crime, because no one would ever imagine it happening. But for commoners, that's a death sentence right there.
Yeah, there's other issues like fencing it would be rather difficult and very risky. There's just a lot of issues with the crypt.
Right. So, I think Stefan was going to go talk to the sheriff. Thank you.
Yeah.
Luther, you wanting to find out about Ash?
Yes, I'd like to talk to him, in fact.
Your father-in-law would know when he visits.
Indeed. That's
the only way to get in touch with him, it seems.
Yes, that's what I'll have to go and look into.
All right.
Just on that, you also pay Bella a visit. I think that maybe a peace offering might be a good thing.
Maybe.
Maybe she would then know more about Ash if we wanted to move. If you wanted to move on that.
So, where to?
Yeah, so I'm gonna head to the sheriff's and
Ginger and Luther, are you guys hanging around at home?
Yes.
I'll head over to the brew house.
Okay.
So I wasn't directly related to the incident that happened at Belle's place because I was knocked unconscious and I didn't really end up robbing her, but it was my family that did it. So I don't want to go speak to Belle. So I'm going to stay at home and just do some exercise. It's the best I can do for now.
Okay. So, the two of you head out the door, and on your way to... You guys are basically taking the same path to the sheriff's house, right? You're heading to the central market and then splitting off from there.
Yeah.
So if we take a look at the map, as you guys come down this area and past this street right here, there's a youngish servant. I think he's very clearly from the servant class. But he's kind of got his clothes pulled tight around him, and he's leaning against the wall, keeping an eye out. And as you guys walk past, he kind of like makes eye contact and gives you like a bit of a wave. Kind of come over here, sort of look, and then leans back against the wall.
Okay. Luther kind of frowns at the situation and walks over.
As you guys walk that way, he walks down a little bit and kind of darts in between these two houses, so you have like a little bit more privacy when he speaks to you. Hello there, my lords. You must be Luther and Stefan Thorne. It's a pleasure to finally meet your acquaintance. He keeps his head bowed slightly.
Luther just kind of looks at him as if there's something more.
I'm coming on the behalf of Miss Zara Grenhall about a rather delicate matter. You guys would know Zara Grenhall is the daughter of Lady Zara Grenhall, or I'm sorry, Genhall, not Grenhall. Zara is Zara's daughter, and Zara is the head of the family. Zara is the heir. There's been a slight problem. You see, after last week's activity, Lady Zara left town, but Miss Zara was still here, and well, just last night she lost a. It kind of looks. The servant looks around one more time to make sure no one's around. Miss Zara's a little fond of gambling. I mean, no, she was gambling in town and lost a game of chance to some unscrupulous types here in Wadsworth. Fortunately, she had put herself in a bit of a bind and had bet the family carriage. Now, she's pretty sure the game was rigged, and these unscrupulous types are going to be taking the carriage out of town today. Of course, Lady Zara can't know that carriage is worth quite a bit, and Miss Zara needs the carriage back. Of course, you can see why she couldn't come to you in person and had to send me. We had heard... Sorry, my mistress...
Man, let me interrupt you there. You seem to have a great deal of information for a servant. This is, what is your position?
Miss Zara came to me asking me if you could get the carriage back for her. She had heard what your family had done for the Lithmans and the young Lithman boy, and wanted.
Luther smiles a little bit, remembering how completely indiscreet he was.
uh, Neil, can I make an etiquette check to see if this is a huge slur, like for them to be sending a servant to deal with this and that won't meet with us themselves?
Sure, go
This
ahead.
this seems like a big fu. Or would I know?
Wait, make an etiquette check. You're
Okay,
kind of
cool.
a. I mean, your
Charisma.
family's at the bottom of the totem pole. I think an etiquette check is perfect in this
It,
situation.
it seems to make sense.
Yeah.
And can I also know? Oh, no, I can't. Never mind.
Just under. Can you also know what?
It doesn't matter. I failed. I wanted to know like what a appropriate response would be in this situation.
Yeah. So you can kind of run with whatever you as a player feel, or whatever you think your character might feel on this.
Right. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
continues kind of stuttering and babbling. She's clearly very uncomfortable. This group of folks here have some men and now have this carriage, and they're gonna take it out of town, and as you know, that's a lot of, it's a great deal of wealth. Lady Zara can't know about this, can't know that Miss Zara lost so much in such a shady circumstance, and hopefully
Lady-
this stuff can be finished without anyone knowing and without anyone hearing.
If Lady Zara can't know, how will we be rewarded?
Well, Miss Zara has lost a lot of money to these folks over the course of these games, and it should all be in the carriage, as well as a great deal of wealth they've probably stolen from other people. Miss Zara only wants the carriage back. Should be plenty of coin on them to pay for your services.
Where are they?
The carriage is currently in town, but it should be leaving town today. Miss Zara,
Do you know where it is in town?
yes, but Miss Zara was hoping you could make this happen outside of town without anyone around to see an altercation. She wouldn't want anyone to know that she had lost the carriage, you know.
Well,
Absolutely. However, we would need to see their numbers, etc. So we would need the information beforehand. So your role as a servant is not to tell your betters what we should and should not know.
Of course.
So-
of course, I'm sorry.
So the thing which I find interesting is, tell me about these unscrupulous individuals that your mistress is seeing. That's a very interesting thing, isn't it?
Well, there's a couple of gambling dens in town. Suppose, considering the circumstances, it wouldn't be appropriate to tell you where they were. Over
It
by
wouldn't?
the burned down Champions Hall. A couple of the buildings over there look to be abandoned, but there's actually an underground, few tables built down into them. There's a password on the door to get in. But they're only operational in the evenings. They're shut down during the day. Completely desolate.
Now, Neil, just something else. Like, who would have the funds, like the disposable income, to be able to gamble in that sense? Like, I'm guessing it's only the nobles in this shithole of a city. Maybe some of the merchants. I'm pretty sure, like in that environment with a very limited social situation, we may have an idea as to who would have the capacity to be gambling.
Well, I think that's a pretty good question, actually. Money's a tight commodity. For someone to be gambling away a carriage is a pretty big deal. So either they had gotten themselves into a lot of trouble and needed some collateral to back up the amount of money that they had said that they were gonna.
That's still a lot of money that was thrown in before the collateral came up.
Right. So there's, there are questions here, and I think you are fair to ask them.
So there's only a limited subset of the population that could have that money to throw around, and if they have that much gold, then fantastic, right?
Unless there's information that your family or your characters are unaware of.
But that's the thing. Like in this small town, is that it seems more reasonable that we would be aware of the players in town than unaware of the players in town.
Probably, yeah.
So is there a short list?
There are a few merchants that have some wealth, and then mostly the noble families. The merchants don't have a lot, but there are some that do some trades here and there. Some jewelers in town, not very many. I think there's I don't have a list exactly on hand, but there are a few, and they mostly trade with the nobles. So you could probably come up with a list of maybe 10 families that would have enough money to throw around that they could not necessarily could afford a carriage themselves. Like, you guys can't even afford a carriage. Carriages are leftover wealth from a previous era. But, if you got a table with 5 or 6 people in it and they're all putting in a lot of money, you know how things happen when you gamble. All of a sudden, the keys to your Jaguar are on the table and gone in a moment.
Do any of those 10 families have a reputation of being scrupulous or
No.
in essence?
No, that's part of being a noble family is to, keep that shit under wraps. You don't want anyone to know about these things, so it's not surprising that some other families are involved in this sort of thing, but you wouldn't know which ones would have done it before. Good noble families keep their name clean.
The other thing is those few merchants that have that gold would also have their own legacy, I guess. That they would be well-known personages, and so coming up against them could have repercussions if done wrong. Obviously, it's not the nobles, so there's about 10 families, some familial suspects.
If you want to scrap the nobles, that brings it down a lot.
Right.
There's 6 other noble families, so it'd be 4 non-noble families you suspect would have that sort of wealth. Then again, there might be another few that have maybe made some fortunate changes in recent months without you noticing.
Yeah, but even them in general, unless some amazing luck, would come from a pretty limited threshold.
There is one family that has a bunch of they're like the slumlords, and they've got some money because they're screwing people over with awful prices on rent in shitty areas, and have a bunch of crappy ass buildings that they don't maintain. There are a couple of merchants and a jeweler. I think those are your 4 wealthiest non-nobles. Anyway, the servant is standing here in this alleyway, and whenever someone walks, the servant kind of tilts the head to the side and gets quiet for a moment, and then looks back to you. He's youngish and seems very uncomfortable sharing this information with you.
Well, I believe this to be worthwhile, but I would like for Miss Sarah to come and explain the situation herself to us. And if she does, we may take care of it.
I agree. There seems to be, in one hand, you insult our status by coming in your presence to negotiate with us, but on the other hand, you're requesting our help. This seems...
Miss Sarah said it was urgent, that the people were leaving, and she didn't want to be seen coming to you in case that word got out about this sort of thing. After all,
we can visit in Hall Estate ourselves. Is Lady Zara home?
That would still have a risk to it. I can see the point of that, but there are other ways to do this besides sending a servant to negotiate.
I apologize for my mistress. She is in a bit of shock, let's say. She has lost a great deal and needs it back quite quickly.
Very well. If
The
you could
carriage should be
perhaps-
leaving shortly. We would guess. There's no knowing for certain when it would.
So this
Which
is very
way
urgent.
is it going?
Well, southward, I guess. There's really only one way to go.
Is there a way we can identify that it's the right carriage?
Absolutely. You'll see the shapes, the banners and the sigils. It's a hard carriage to miss.
I see.
If you could just step out of earsight for a moment. Is it a girl or a guy?
It's a guy, a young guy.
Yep. If you could, young man, if you could just step out of the earshot, I would like to speak to my brother about this.
Okay.
And
The
then
guy
we'll call you over when we're ready.
goes to the end of these buildings and steps around back one of them, so he's not in the main street.
You know, brother, it seems no matter how much good, no matter what we give, no matter what we sacrifice, we're still the pawns of the other families. It's a...
Well, as long as we keep making gold, I don't mind too much, really. Everything will come with gold.
I say either we refuse and leave it at that, or perhaps we put a test out to see what happens and offer a ridiculous price for our services, such as 1,000 gold with 500 paid up front, and see if they bite.
The thing is, I don't think they can offer a reward from the house. I think the reward is just what we get from the carriage, because
That's not our issue to deal with, and quite frankly, the whole reason with such a big price is to see how the servant reacts. A servant should not be able to give the go-ahead and negotiate on prices that sums of money that large.
the only way
If our
the
upkeep,
only way the house could give us that much money is if the lady Zara was in on it.
again, that's not our problem. That'll be up to the lady Zara, who is already shown to lose a great amount of wealth in gambling. You think for her to put the caravan up, which is priceless, that is a significant debt she found herself in. We have them by the short and curlies on this one here.
Well, I value goodwill, and I value what's in the carriage. I believe it's a good opportunity.
It's a good opportunity, but there's something not right. I don't know what it is, but there's something not right with this, and it's. I think just putting this in, we can always renegotiate, but I just want to see how they react. And there'll be do you really want to be goodwill is one thing, but do you really want to be the pawns of the nobles? We will never be their equal. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish, but it's as misguided as your attempts to save our brother. Nothing we do will make us right in their eyes. It's certainly not for our generation.
It doesn't matter what we are in their eyes. It matters what we are. If we have more gold than all of them combined, what does it matter?
Oh, yes, that's right. But getting 100 gold to save a brother will not give that more gold. You think if our expenses are 200 gold per month,
a lot more than 100 gold. And if it's not, we don't have to bring the carriage back.
oh, that's why I say 1,000 gold at 500 up front. That's a little bit more than 100 gold. Not only that, but if our expenses are 200 with such a small family, what are their expenses? This 1,000 gold would be likely to be 2 months of their expenses. They can certainly, I mean, if they can spend that much on gambling, they have the pockets to afford this. We do not.
Well, certainly, we could only get less than the carriage is worth.
The carriage is priceless. Nobody can afford a carriage.
The servant comes back around the corner now. Have you guys made up your mind?
We'll call you when we're ready. Again, you forget your place.
Ducks his head and quickly slips around the corner.
That servant has a lot of initiative. It'd be good if we had servants like that. Good if you learn his place, though. So, what do you think then, brother?
I think we take the carriage and see what's inside.
We don't know who we're taking it from. Those that we're talking about, there's what, 4 families, merchants, jewelers that could do this. That's it. The word will get around, and they have more power than us in some ways, in terms of
Our right to
putting the
exact
word around.
justice, however we see fit.
No, that's I mean that's true, but to a degree. We have immunity to a lot of things, but something which causes waves could end in the destruction of our house. How would the house recover from the reputation if things did not go well?
I think
I
things
will
well.
I will leave the decision up to you. I would certainly like to 1,000 gold, 500 up front, and see what the reaction is. But I'll leave that in your hands, our fearless leader. And with his silence, I then call the servant back over.
Okay. Servant comes back around, head bowed, checking the street, making sure no one's walking by. Can I deliver my mistress good news?
Before you do that, again, you have any idea where this carriage is now? Before it leaves the town?
I think it's in the northern market or north of that, probably.
It should be very easy to spot, right?
She nods, or he nods.
And when is it that the Miss Sarah thinks that they'll be leaving?
Day.
No specific time. What are they leaving for?
I think they're just trying to get the carriage out of town today, before. No.
So where are they going with it? Somewhere into the woods? Is hiding it?
That's a good
I think
question.
the people who run the den have connections outside of town. I can't pretend to know what they're going to do with it or where they're going to take it, but my lady said that she saw them packing it up as if they were going to leave it last night.
I see. Again, just leave us for a moment. This new information, we need to discuss ourselves.
Gives a big sigh and walks back around the corner.
You really want to? What sort of servant are you? You're a despicable caravan brother. There's what your question was. What are they doing with the caravan? They're taking it out of town. Why? The
don't
merchants
know
and
where.
jewelers don't have holdings
Indeed, I don't know where it could possibly be going.
and contacts. Who would be in the position out of town to be able to afford a wonder such as this carriage? This makes no sense. The only ones out, would the merchants and jewelers have any holdings outside of town?
They might have some storage facilities in some of the outlying villages, especially the merchants, if they are bringing in goods from another town. So, in the last village you guys were in, they had those big silk factories where they were growing all the silkworms and stuff. So if someone, and that operation was owned by a noble family, but there could be other operations like that in other areas. So there could be warehouses in villages. There's also, if you go far enough south across the Barrens, you can get to other towns, but that's pretty dangerous territory. It would be silly to go with just one carriage. You kind of need
That
a
seems
lot of supply.
unfathomable.
Yeah.
So the other thing is they're trying to hide and get the caravan back, but the caravan's been ported around town, then everyone will know straight away. What are they trying to accomplish? And then suddenly the caravan comes back into their possession. The carriage. This is weird.
Yes, well, it would be nice to go to the Northern Market and have a look at what's going on. would be nice to be able to do that before we make a decision, really. But
Well, in that case, we say 1,000 gold, 500 up front, and that gives us the time, and we're going to go to the northern market and check it out. That gives us time, and then we will reconvene with the acceptance of the offer. Offer a price so outrageous that the servant doesn't have the authority to say yea or nay.
You guys have been here for a while in this alleyway. Mentioned.
Yeah,
It's been here for
it's been a
quite
couple of
while.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll go with your idea.
All right. Call him back.
All right. Servant comes back around again, head bowed, stuttering a little bit. Yes. Did you make up your mind? I'm sorry, my lords. Have you?
You know, you have the personality of a yo-yo. That's all you're good for, by the way.
Yes, my lord.
Well,
Brother?
this seems to be quite a possibly perilous job, as I'm sure you understand, and the carriage is a very valuable item. So we think we deserve an additional reward on top of what we would get from the carriage.
There should be a deal of wealth that the cheating bastards created in the carriage.
Yes, we understand, but we believe we should get an additional reward from you as well. Not you personally, but from Mr.
Servant wrings his hands a little bit and opens a small pouch at his side and pulls out a gold ring with a small, very small gemstone inside and said, Miss Sarah thought you might need some sort of payment up front.
What is this?
He kind of holds it out, not all the way, but kind of just like partially, and says, "This is an offer to show that we are good with our words." There's a.
Can I appraise that?
Do you have an appraisal skill?
I certainly do.
All right, give me an appraisal check.
All right, what is my int? 13.
You're gonna actually have to take it from the servant and handle it to get a good look, though.
Does he offer it to me?
He just kind of holds it out a little bit. You can snatch it if you want or whatever.
Yeah,
He takes it out. Gets a good look.
All right, you take it out. No, you don't have your proper appraising tools with you, but you roll a 32. You're pretty good at this, and it's pretty clearly a crappy imitation. It's not actually a gold ring. It's some sort of metals that have kind of like been blended together to make it look like gold, and you're pretty sure that that's not a ruby. It's kind of stained glass.
That was a mistake.
Well, I can see that the honor of the Green Halls is fake and glitzy like this
Excuse me?
useless piece. This here is glass. The gold here is blended metals.
No, my lord, no. That's
correct.
Lady Zara's ring, Miss Zara's ring.
Well, in that case, I hope she's not as cheap as her ring. I go back.
The servant takes it, kind of like a little stunned that you, just a little stunned, like
It's quite rude of you to offer us the ring, insisting it's genuine, and really it's...
So this is your answer then?
No, it just means that the price has gone up.
I'm sorry, they could be leaving at any moment. We might have missed them already. We can't see from this corner.
How about
in that case, you better hurry up.
We will look into it, and if we recover the carriage, we will hold it until adequate payment is made.
Okay, I can take that back to my lady.
Tell her that her ring is fake. I'm not sure if she knows or not, but it would be.
The servant nods emphatically. I beg
shield
of you
them.
on behalf of my family to take this matter seriously and to deal with it discreetly out in the wilds where no one can see. Thank you for your time.
Yes.
The servant ducks back around the corner and heads like away from the noble estates, kind of like in the opposite direction.
Okay. I go back towards the estate as well, and I start to put on a disguise when I get there.
I say, brother, how if I go to the southern gates and just make sure the carriage hasn't left yet?
Good idea.
Very good. And then we'll meet back up in the central market.
Okay. So, just to wrap up, Stefan's going to go talk to the guards at the gate to see if it's left yet.
Yep.
And Luther's going to...
Put on a disguise to go to the northern market. And see
Okay.
if-
And your disguise is back in your house, so you can catch up Ginger on the activities while we're there. So why don't we take our first break, and when we come back, we'll see what sort of trouble the party can get into. See you guys on the other side.